Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Straight from the Dome. This is the Navy Recap Arizona State preview show. What's going on, Bray?
So, dude, how you doing?
Not bad, man. Had a good weekend. A little busy this week, but ready to talk some Navy and Arizona State and a little college football playoff.
Yeah, the new rankings were just announced. We really timed this perfectly.
Yeah, it literally just came out about, 20 minutes ago?
Yep.
Yeah, so just if anybody listening has not seen it yet, Notre Dame State at 10. Could be good, could be bad. I guess the way you look at it, I'm taking it as a good way because I was kind of expecting us to fall down a little bit. So
Um, I don't know. I don't know if I expect us to drop. I didn't think we did ourselves any favors this weekend. I can tell you that.
we definitely did not prove like moving up was a thing. I should say that. So I would say not moving is a good thing. We'll talk about it a little bit later though in the show. We're going to recap the Navy game to start things off here in a sec. Then we're going to move on and talk some Arizona State. Got a big game this week, top 10 matchup. Arizona State moved up to number 9 in the rankings. So it's going to be a big, probably the biggest game of the season, I'd say, except for the Florida State game. But it's going to be a big game. So initial reactions on Navy, Bray.
I just don't understand why does it feel like Notre Dame is the only team that struggles against Navy? Why does it feel that way?
I guess my answer to that would be Navy. It's kind of a rivalry for them. They hate us. They probably just they get up for that game. It's kind of like a Jimtown Concord type of thing. The Jimtown where we went to high school. No matter how bad Jimtown was, we always kind of seemed to play Concord tough because we always got up for that game. That was a game we got amped up for. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's got to have a big thing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the whole rivalry, look at it, but at the same time, I mean, if you're a bad team playing a good team, the good team should take care of that no matter what. And I don't know if it's as big of a rivalry as maybe you think, which I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Alabama, teams like that, teams like Auburn would shut that offense down no problem. And for some reason, for multiple years, we just continue to struggle against that offense. I mean, we gave up 454 total yards to Navy this weekend. We gave up less yards than that to Michigan. And it's just like, not comparing Navy and Michigan, but I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I just can't grasp why we stop it. I kind of said last week, I don't really think there's such thing as a defense built to stop the triple option. But when you have far superior athletes on one side of the ball, Notre Dame, going against Navy, who are very undersized, etc., it just blows my mind that Notre Dame just continuously struggles year in and year out against that offense.
Yeah, I don't know what I honestly I don't know what it is either. I don't know what to say. It kind of stinks, but we've kind of come to expect it too at the same time. So
Yeah, but in years like this, kind of like we just hit on, we didn't expect to move up after a win, and
mm,
that's never a good feeling.
mm.
When you sit here and can come to the realization, right after the game, well, this win didn't help us. That's not a good feeling to have as a fan. That can't be a good feeling as a coach and Brian Kelly. And he can come out here and say, which I don't think he did, but he has in the past, saying it's really hard to win in college football, and that's true. But you can't use that excuse against Navy to me. It's just, I don't know. I'm frustrated because the whole point, and like we had mentioned in our last week's episode, it's so important for Notre Dame to win out and win out decisively. And when you only beat Navy by 10 and give up 454 yards of total offense, people are going to remember that. The committee's going to remember that. And it's not going to leave really good taste in people's mouths. It's always, when it comes down to the end of the year, they could take a look at that and be like, man, well, they only beat Navy by 10. They may have beat Florida State, who is very overrated to me, but at this point, I'm fine with them being overrated.
Mm.
It's like I'm frustrated. because we needed to see a lot more. We needed to see better results than we saw this weekend.
Yeah, and I was frustrated too watching the game, and we talked a little bit during the game, and I was just like, what's going on? That when they in the first half, we started off quick, we got up 28-7. I was like, all right, I can kind of relax. Looks like we might take care of business, and then Navy just went on a run like that, and all of a
Yeah, it
sudden,
seemed like after Everett threw that pick.
yeah, yeah, and the second quarter, Devin Brown had an 18-yard run, and that got it in a 28-14, and then Navy went on. We didn't score until the fourth quarter again. We were down by 3 going into the fourth quarter. So yeah, we did. It kind of sucked, but you know, I guess it's whatever at this point. So um, let's recap the offense real fast, kind of like we always do. We'll start with Everett. Kind of talk about him. Everett had a big night. 18 for 25, 315 yards passing. This is 3 touchdowns. Did through the 1 pick. Rushing wise, he had 9 carries, 33 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, so 6 total touchdowns. I mean, good game out of Everett. Can't complain really. He had the 1 pick, but it just you gotta love his him making things happen with his legs.
Yeah, he did a lot of his running. I mean, not for. I mean, you can tell based on his rushing stats that he only had, what did you say, 33 yards.
Yeah.
So he only had 33 yards and he had 3 touchdowns. So that to you, clearly looking at that box score stat, is he did a lot of his running damage in the red zone, which is fine. I don't really care where he does it, and as long as he holds on to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But like you just said, it's awesome having that guy that, not Tommy Reese just standing back there in the red zone hoping that he can throw a fade to Michael Floyd or whoever's out there, and that element is gone with Everett. He can make the throw if he needs to, and if the play breaks down, there's a broken play. Tommy Reese isn't going to make 3 guys miss and score like Everett did this weekend. So, look, it's awesome. I love it. He played good. He needed to, and he helped his Heisman campaign this week. He can't do anything about our defense sucking. He can control what the offense does. He had 1 turnover. It was late in the first half, I believe, right? We were trying to score.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's not. It didn't kill us at the end of the day. This isn't Florida State. He was being aggressive. I mean, he clearly didn't see the safety come across and make that interception. But I'm not going to pick him apart for it. He made up for it. Clearly 6 touchdowns. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I mean, we hit on earlier in the season when Everett was having the ball security trouble, that it was getting old and everyone was jumping on the Malik Zaire train. I hope those people can sit back and realize now that they were overreacting, because all it took was a bye week and a couple games, and Everett has been just fine in that department. So.
Yeah, and I guess to hit on the last thing on Everett, he came out like he knew that we had to win big, and he came out on fire. He came out. He did everything he could for us to win big. Like we said, Navy is going to try and chew up as much clock as they possibly can. You saw that in the third quarter. They had the ball for their first possession in the third quarter was like 8 or 9 minutes long. We only had the ball, I believe, 1 time in the entire third quarter.
Third quarter, the first drive, they scored on 15 plays, 75 yards in 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, and look, that's what they're going to do. That's exactly their game plan, and they went in at half knowing, okay, we're only down 28-17. If we can get a score on this drive and take up a huge chunk of time, which is exactly what they did, then they have a really good shot of pulling this off. And they, like you said, we were down 3 going into the fourth quarter, which is absolutely disgusting. I was watching the game and I felt really good at 28-7. Even at 28-17, I was like, we should be up by more, but Everett's playing so well. And then they just came out in the third quarter and held the ball, and it just killed us. It absolutely killed us. And we scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which is great, but I just can't. I don't understand why our defense year in and year out struggles, and it can't be a schematic thing, because Van Gorder runs a whole different scheme and a whole different style of defense than previous years. Okay, and so it's not 4 guys on the line, 3 guys on the line, this many linebackers, that many linebackers. It's just we're not in the right position. And I guess the biggest part of that triple option is if that fullback has success running up the middle, you're going to be chasing them all night long because you got to be honest then, and you got to play that fullback hard because if you don't stop that fullback, they're just going to kill you all night with the read option to him and then triple option on the outside with Keenan Reynolds and the running back. And you could tell early we could not stop it, and it was killing us.
Yeah. So, all in all, good night for Everett. So let's move on to the rushing attack here. Folston had another good game. 20 carries, 149 yards, was averaging about 7.5 a carry. Had one touchdown, long run of 26. Cam got some carries, got 6 carries, 21 yards. Not a whole lot going on, but did average 3 yards a carry. CJ Procise had 1 carry for 14, and Amir had 1 for 5. So, I mean, I love it. Folston's getting the love, and he's doing a hell of a job while he's getting it. He's proven he's the guy.
Yeah, no doubt. And we said in previous shows early in the year, back when guys were getting, I don't know, what everyone seemed to be getting 7, 8 carries and nobody really in a rhythm, how important it was for somebody to finally separate themselves and get 20 carries a game. And you see guys like Cam coming in and getting 6. And Greg Bryant had an ankle injury, which is fine. I still think he's the most talented back in our roster, but he's just not going to get the looks this year based on his injury. And I mean, why would you go away from Folsom? You just can't at this point. He's done nothing but prove to you that he should get the ball at least 20 times a game.
Yeah, it's fun to watch now with that offense because you got so many. Adding in Folsom there, you got so many weapons now with Everett and him and all the receivers. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. And another thing to hit on, Procise only gets about 1 carry a game because he's a slot receiver, but that guy's kind of fun to watch in the open field when he gets his 1 to 2 carries on those jet sweeps a game.
I absolutely agree with you. I love that little wrinkle in the offense. Sometimes we get the guys on jet sweeps, and we got the athletes to do it with Procise and even Amir sometimes, but I really like Procise doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
He just seems like a bigger body guy. I think Amir's really good, really explosive, really quick. Can make a lot of things happen in the open field, but to me, CJ Procise is just a bigger body guy, a little harder to bring down. It seems like Amir Carlisle can kind of come down on that first guy hitting him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely agree. So not a whole lot to talk about the rushing and the passing or in Everett because they're both good. We're moving on to receiving. A whole lot of guys got a whole lot of love, and that's how we like it. Chris Brown, 2 receptions, 82 yards. CJ Procise, 2 receptions, 77 yards. Had the big play on the first score. Ben Koyak had 5 receptions. He had the most reception on the night, 54 yards, had 1 touchdown. Folsom had 2 for 38. Corey Robinson had 2 for 34. Fuller had 3 for 16, had 1 touchdown. Cam had 1 for 7, and Torrey Hunter Jr. Nice to see he finally got a catch again. Had 1 reception for 7 yards. So as always, a lot of guys getting love. Good to see Ben Koyak get some receptions. A little disappointed that Fuller only had 3 though.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, you would think that would be the guy that's going to beat Navy's, not so athletic secondary down the field. I don't know if they didn't try to do that or not. It didn't really look like it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the balance is what's so key here. I mean, I understand there's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that had 2 receptions. 1 had 5 and 1 had 3. Now, when you look at everybody that has, 3 or less, you have Brown and Procise have 2 catches, and they average 38.5 yards a reception and 41 yards a reception. When you have those 2 guys doing that, Koyak at 5 receptions, and then you have Robinson and Fuller, who do you key on? Not one person is getting the main amount of catches in these games. And it's like you can't just put your best corner on one of our receivers, which is what I alluded to early, is like our offense is dangerous. And we're explosive, and we have a ton of guys that can make these impacts. But now it's really starting to come through. You saw it last week against Florida State. You saw Fuller and Robinson sort of take that game over. And then now it's just like in games where you can spread the rock around, you can't put your number 1 corner on any one person because we're going to beat you in every other way.
Yeah, you're pretty much choosing who are we going to put on one-on-one, and I'll take our guy, a lot of our guys one-on-one on a lot of of cornerbacks and safeties in the nation. So it's great to have. I mean, I would hate to be a defense coordinator having to try and figure out what we're gonna do here. And Everett seems to always find somebody no matter what. He makes things happen with his feet, and these guys, it's almost like schoolyard football. They're playing with each other when they get in that situation, and it's fun to watch. So, um, yeah, I'm sorry, my computer's being absolutely slow as crap right now. So,
Are you ancient tonight or what?
I shouldn't be that bad. I'm not lagging, but my computer is struggling on the other window. Um,
Oh, Kyle Brinson misses 2 field goals. How great is that?
it's like watching Notre Dame 3 years ago.
Oh man, I don't. He's so good, but he shows signs of just being awful.
hmm Yeah, I didn't know what to think of that. He may, or no, he didn't make one. I'm sorry, he was 0 for 2. That probably was one of the more frustrating things about that game. I would
Yep.
absolutely have to say I don't want to say it's free points, but when you're that good, it's free points. We got to
Yeah,
make them.
yeah, and it happened in this game at the points where it's like, man, we can't get anything going. It's like they end up stopping us, and it's like, okay, now we miss a field goal, and then they march down the field. It's just like,
Mhm.
oh, the timing was just terrible this weekend in those misses.
Yeah, yeah, that really killed. So, all right, well, let's move on to the defense side of the ball. I finally got my computer loaded up here. I think the biggest storyline of the game's got to be Joe Schmidt. It's awful. It's hate to see it. It couldn't happen to a better guy. One of the leaders of the defense. Was a walk-on, fifth-year guy. Going to be out for the rest of the season. I guess my question is, how bad does this hurt?
It's a huge loss. Anytime you never would think 3 years ago that losing Joe Schmidt this year would kill us. But the dude's a beast. He's a little less athletic, but the dude, he's like Manti. He knows where everything's going to be on every single play. He's the smartest guy on the football field. Van Gorder has been nothing but, he hasn't done anything but praise Joe Schmidt and how quickly he learned this defense and the stuff that they can throw at him so quickly and to make this defense give so many different looks. And when you lose a guy like that, that's just huge. And I think I saw that they only went with one defensive call the rest of the game after he went out. And that to me is huge because it's when you have a guy that is out like that big of a change in your whole defensive scheme philosophy calls, that big of a change happens because this guy's not in there. Man, that's going to be tough to replace. And look, I think Niles Morgan is huge, and I'm really excited to see Niles Morgan play. And you could see some really good glimpses of that dude playing this weekend. He's going to be really good, but I think that whole only using one call, and they'll fix that this week. Those are going to be guys that step up and can fix that. But that whole thought in my head is just kind of like, oh, that's kind of making me think how that's going to make this loss just so much bigger to me.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's just the guy it happened to, and he's such a great guy. He was the leader of that defense, and like you said, he's just a smart football player. He was like Manti. He knew where stuff was going. He knew what the offense was trying to do, and it really hurts. But you said it, Niles Morgan. It's going to be fun to watch him play, and you know, at least we got somebody that's going to jump in and hopefully make some plays, and they'll get it settled out in practice this week. And I saw the day that uh, uh, Joe Schmidt had three priorities. He had get his parents to South Bend, get the surgery, and then start teaching Niles. So, and Brian Kelly said he's going to be a coach. He's pretty much going to be a coach now. So that's good, and good that he's going to be involved still. So
Yeah, it's kind of like losing a guy like Danny Spine last year.
yeah.
When you find out he can't play anymore, super smart guy, knows where everyone should be. He's on the sideline still giving everybody a whole, plethora of knowledge. And
hmm
that's going to be huge, like you said, him on the sideline. That's going to make the learning curve so much more easier for Niles. And, I mean, what I saw of Niles, though, that dude is going to be a freak. And Brian Kelly said it today. He said, look, we sat him down early in the year and said, you're either going to quit or you're going to be one of the best to ever play at Notre Dame. And, I mean, what they see in this guy, we saw some glimpses this Saturday, and he played really well when he came in. So I'm really excited to see him jump in. It's a big weekend to do it though. Arizona State on the road, a huge win we need to have. Defense is going to
Mhm.
have to play really well. It's a really explosive offense. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited. It's a good opportunity for the kid. Let's see what he can do.
Yep. So, but you got to be disappointed with the defense as a whole, though. Gave up 454 total yards, 118 passing. Here's where it kills: 336 rushing yards we gave up. We hit on it. Navy's, I think, has one of the top rushing offenses in the country. But man, that's an awful lot of yards to be given up when we haven't really been giving up a whole lot of rushing yards all season.
Yeah, and you have to attribute that to the kind of offense that they ran, and you have to give them credit because, I mean, they flat out went out there. We knew exactly what they were going to do. And, I mean, there were times our defensive line, who, I don't know, had to be 20, 30, 40 pounds bigger on average, they got pushed off. They got pushed off the line of scrimmage. And they came ready to play. They made some big plays. It wasn't a fluke that they went out there and just steamrolled us on some plays. So you have to give Navy some credit, and you have to be upset in your defensive line if you're Notre Dame.
I think a big factor also is fatigue. I think we are getting fatigued. I mean, anytime you're out there for a 7.5 minute drive, and it seemed like a lot of drives were like that for Navy. I'm just looking. I mean, 6:08, 4:45, they had a field goal, 7:31, 2:12. So they were holding on to the ball. There's no doubt about it. And I'm sure that had something to do with it. But still, I mean, so when you're bigger and stronger, you got to be able to control that line, and we didn't at all. So
Yeah, and like that, like we said on that offense, if that fullback can get off to a good start, that just opens everything up for them because
mhm.
you give a little fake to that fullback. It's like a read option just to the fullback. So if Keenan Reynolds decides to keep that, you have two guys that have to crash on that fullback. That just leaves that option play with him and that running back wide open, and it kills us a couple times.
Yeah, their rushing stats are about like our receiving stats. They have 10 guys that rush the ball at one point.
Yeah, that's
A little ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, and look, their running back Noah Copeland had 16 carries for 138 yards. He averaged 8.6 yards a carry, and as a team, they averaged 5.6. That's just unacceptable to me and
Mhm.
disgusting, to be frank.
Yeah, it's not good. That's for sure. So it just in it was just a frustrating game. Like I said, when it started, when we were up 28-7, I kind of relaxed and I started getting ready to go out for the night. And I was like, all right, we're gonna take care of business. And I got to where I was going, and by the time I got there, Navy was back to 28-24, and I was just like, how in the world does this happen? It's just
It kind of snuck up on you because, I mean, like we just said, they had the ball for 7 minutes to start the third quarter, and then you get a touchdown out of that, and it's just kind of like, wow. But now, before you know it, we're losing, and it is frustrating, and there's really not much else we can say about it other than it's just disappointing. I don't understand. It just really feels like Notre Dame, years past, has shown for some reason we just struggle against Navy that a lot of other teams wouldn't, and I don't know why. I'm not going to try and say it's just it's just frustrating to me.
yeah. So, but the thing about it is we didn't move up and we didn't move down, so it's kind of a we got through that week. So
Yep. I mean, look, the initial rankings already felt like they killed us, at 10. We already felt like we had no shot. You beat Navy by 10. At that point, we're like, God, if we don't move down, we kept ourselves in somewhat of a position to get in if things can work their way out. But it wasn't an easy feeling at the end of that game at all.
it was definitely not. I was in a good mood, but it wasn't because of the game. I can tell you that. So, well, let's look forward to this week now. Going on the road to Arizona State, playing at Arizona State. It's going to be 3:30 Eastern Standard Time game, so it's not going to be prime time, which I was a little surprised about. That kind of surprised me, but um, it, I'd have to say it's the biggest game on our schedules this year. besides Florida State, but that's that. I mean, this is the biggest game of our season right now.
Yeah, it's a new season after Florida State.
Yeah. So you got 10 versus 9. Um, I guess what are your just initial like? What do we have to? What's your initial? What do we have to do? Kind of feeling for this game.
Well, first, I'm kind of surprised Arizona State moved up to 9. That's 5 spots from where they were last week. I don't know if they showed their 5 spots better this past weekend, but I'm not complaining at all because it's almost seeming like this is rigged up for Notre Dame to win this game, and that's a signature win against a top 10 team now all of a sudden.
Hmm.
And they were 5 spots worse last week. But I'm not gonna. I don't really care. I'm glad that they're where they're at because of that. Um, it's going to be tough because they haven't looked particularly great to me these last couple weeks. Taylor Kelly's back. He's really kind of finding. He doesn't seem to be in a rhythm since he's come back from his broken foot, and you can't really expect him to be. It's they haven't looked awesome to me. They haven't looked like the team that people kind of thought they would be going into the year. They're still winning games though, and that's the scary thing is that they're not playing extremely well like they can, but they're still winning games. I think I really think their defense is. I think we can expose their defense. I don't think that they're anything we should particularly worry about. I think they're quick. They're a fast defense, so Everett's still going to have to be on point because a mistake against a fast defense could be huge. Even the smallest little bit of error there. But offensively, I think we should still be able to take care of business. The guys that we have on the outside and our skill position players, and Everett's playing really well. I really don't think we're going to struggle offensively. I would really look for Everett to push the ball down the field, maybe get him in a little more screens. Maybe that quick defense can over pursue a little bit. I look forward to Folston against a defensive line that's probably a little undersized compared to our offensive line. I look for Folston to have another solid day, maybe a touchdown, and Everett to make some plays with his feet again because what goes along with an athletic, fast defense is you're going to blow a couple coverages, but at the same time you're going to have a couple lockdown moments, and to see Everett maybe you make a play with his legs on those plays is what's gonna make the difference in this game. I think defensively we should be all right. We have some athletes, we have speed that can match their speed, and I think the biggest point to kind of look at is although I understand it's a whole new year, etc. I believe Notre Dame is much better than they were last year, and Arizona State is too. But I think Notre Dame is better than they were last year, comparable to Arizona State's improvements. And we beat them last year with Tommy Rees at quarterback. So no disrespect to Tommy Rees in any shape or form, but I think if you kind of look at it that way, I think it might ease a couple people's thought process going in this week.
Yeah, just looking at Arizona State's stats real fast. 23rd in the nation passing, 46 rushing, 38th in points for, and 50th against for points against. So really not overwhelming stats, not at all. They struggled with Utah. Had a tough physical OT game last week. They've had a lot of close games this year. USC, they won by 4. Colorado, sorry, wrong game. They just got blown out by UCLA, who, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely dominated at home.
62-27, 62 points they gave up.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it like this: if UCLA can score 62 points, there's no reason we should struggle to score the ball this week. And I'm not saying Arizona State's gotten better in the last 5 weeks since they played them, but it's we have an offense I think is one of the best in the nation by far, and we got to rack up points. Now I think it's going to be a shootout. I honestly do. Um, I just our defense hasn't shown me the last couple weeks that or last week, I'm sorry, that we can play right now, and maybe it's just me overreacting and kind of being a negative person, but I really think it's going to be a shootout. So I think it's key that we gotta be quick. We gotta run that Brian Kelly offense. We gotta score quick. We gotta just sling the ball around. I think, and maybe I like your idea with the screens. I think that's a big thing. Get Corey Robinson involved. I'd like to see Pro Size involved some more on some jet sweeps, like you said. So yeah, it's going to be a shootout in my eyes. So
Yeah, and I like what you said there about the defense not exactly playing like we thought they could. Like I guess like they showed really early in the year. And last week I think you can attribute probably it's not a big game really. They're not probably hyped up on the road, hostile environment, warm weather. I think they're really going to show up this weekend and play like we kind of saw that they're capable of earlier in the year. Not that I think they're not going to give up like 21, 28 points, but to me, against a really explosive offense, that's a solid defensive performance. And if it turns into a shootout, which I'm fine with, it's not that I think our offense can't score with them. I think our defense is good enough that they can make that stop when we need it. So I like our chances in that shootout, like you said.
I do agree. I think our defense at big moments comes up big.
Yep.
I will agree with you absolutely
It
100%
seems
there.
like it seems like in that moment when we need a play, Matthias Farley just comes off the bench and just makes some freakish play, gets all hyped up and all in motion, and it just seems like that happens.
Absolutely. So I guess three keys, three things the Irish have to do to come out of Tempe with a win. Like,
I think offensively, like I said, I think we'll be fine offensively, but I think a way that can kind of that eases our offense into the game, I guess, is look for Folston to have another 120 plus yard game. I think that that's huge in any offense to have that to rely on, and that opens up your whole playbook. That's really cliche to say, but I think that's a huge part of this week, and keeping everybody rolling and everybody in a rhythm. Make sure Folston gets fed the ball early, ride his momentum. It's only going to open everything up in your offense, play action, etc. Fuller over the top on those play actions. I think that's a huge part. I really do, and I think special teams is going to be huge. I think I saw something today that Arizona State has 8 or so freshmen on the kickoff coverage team,
hmm.
and our special teams hasn't been that great this year. But I think they could be okay with Amir back there, and I think maybe we might be able to break one, maybe get a score, or at some point in the game get really good field position off of that because those young guys are out there covering. So I think special teams is going to be huge, and I think Amir has a chance this week to really break one. Um, I guess a third key is I think I'm going to look at Niles Morgan. I'm going to put the pressure on him right now. He's replacing Joe Schmidt. He has big shoes to fill in his head. Not that he's an idiot. He goes to Notre Dame, but he's a true freshman, just learning this system. Joe Schmidt just for some reason had a knack for it, grasped it really well to start. Um, but I think Niles can make up for it in his athletic ability. He's extremely fast. He's a big guy. He's relied on his athletic ability in the past, and I think he's going to be okay. I don't really have a cause for worry based on what we saw last week. And I understand it was Navy, but at some point, hey, at least he got in and did it, and we have less questions than if we hadn't seen him all year, other than on special teams. So I'm going to put that last key on Niles. I think he's going to be huge in the run stopping effort, and if we can stop their run and turn them into one dimensional passing offense, I really think I like our secondary in that matchup.
Yeah, my keys are pretty simple. It's just get Everett in a rhythm, uh, establish the line of scrimmage with Fulston in the offensive line, and then come up with the big stop when we need it. And I think you do those three things, and I think we come out of there with a victory. So I'm pretty confident going into this week. I'd absolutely say. I just think we play big in big games. We saw it against Florida State. We saw it against Stanford, which was a big game. Michigan, they weren't very good, but it was a big game for us and for them, and we came out and played big. So I think I'm confident going into this week. I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. I'm just ready to get a W and move up these rankings. So speaking of the rankings, let's have a little discussion here about these real fast. And if it feels like we're going quick this week, I think it's because Bray wants to go play some Call of Duty. I feel like he's ready to go play some COD. It came out yesterday, and if you know Bray, he's a COD guy. So
I was going to give my full effort tonight, and I wasn't going to cut any of my thoughts short, but I'm not going to deny that statement that you
well,
just made.
you know what? While you're playing COD, I'm going to be at the library, so you have fun there.
Yeah.
Let's run down the top 15 or so in the playoff rankings that came out about an hour ago. Mississippi State stays up top Florida State stays at 2. Auburn and Oregon round out the top 4, and that's your playoff as of right now. Alabama comes in at 5, TCU 6, Kansas State 7. Those two play this week. Then you got Michigan State, who will be playing Ohio State this week. Big matchup there. Then you got Arizona State and Notre Dame at 9-10. There's your matchup this week. Huge game for the Irish. Ole Miss, after their loss, dropped down to 11. That's your first 2-loss team in the ranking. Then you got Baylor, Nebraska, Ohio State, Oklahoma in that order, rounding it off. Any surprises that you saw coming out in this ranking?
I'm going to say two things that I guess are surprising. I really didn't expect Arizona State to jump all the way to 9, and I just saw a tweet as you were explaining this. I don't know if this guy's on the committee or not, but Andrew Owens, who does a lot of Notre Dame coverage, retweeted John Solomon from CBS, who said long. I don't know if there's a long on the committee or what this is.
I think there is, yes.
Okay, he said Arizona State moved ahead of Notre Dame because of a more convincing win versus a common opponent, and that would be Stanford. Okay, I mean, if that's the way they're going to look at it, that just shows even more why you need to blow teams out. Because if you think about it this way, and it's not a very likely scenario, but to kind of just put it in perspective, if it came down to Notre Dame and Ohio State this year making the final playoff, they're going to give Ohio State that nod because upon a common opponent in Navy, they beat more than Notre Dame did. So I don't know if that's the way they're going to look at it. To me, that just emphasizes more that you need to beat teams and you need to beat them bad. So I guess I'm a little bit surprised that Arizona State jumped 5 spots to 9. I'm not mad about it at all because now if Notre Dame takes care of business this weekend, which I fully expect them to do, that is just top 10. You can count that as a signature win right now. And as you can see, which is my second point about these rankings, is to me, other than Mississippi State, Florida State, they threw out what they saw last week. There were quite a bit of changes, in the rankings as far as Auburn would be in the playoff now. Who else did you say? Sorry, I had it pulled up.
In the top
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon is the top 4.
Alabama was 6. They move up to 5. Last week we had Auburn at 3. They stayed there. Ole Miss was at 4. They dropped obviously because they lost, but now Oregon is in. It changed quite a bit, to be honest. And I understand the team lost up there, but it was really key, like we hit on earlier, that Notre Dame didn't drop, like a lot of people thought we could have. I didn't put it past it because we were already ranked 10, and I think the point that we didn't drop is huge. Michigan State stayed the same. Kansas State's up there. TCU, man, we really needed TCU to lose this weekend because, as we said last episode when we kind of went through some scenarios of what needs to happen, we need TCU to lose because if they end up beating Kansas State, TCU doesn't really play anybody the rest of the year and has a really good chance of not losing a game. And if Kansas State wins that game, that's big because they would still play Baylor and West Virginia. It's a lot better chance to lose those games than TCU does down their stretch. So that game was big this week, and we really needed West Virginia to pull that out. I believe at one point there was another team that was losing up there that we needed to. I can't remember. But still, at this point, second ranking of the year, we saw what a signature win can do for you. Teams are jumping teams, and teams are moving up, and that's big. And that's good to see because now Notre Dame has a chance this weekend to do that. But a lot of things still need to happen for Notre Dame to win. And I guess one of them, which is key, is one team in front of us that we need to get out of our way is a team we play. And that's huge, and that'll eliminate that for us exactly the way we need it to. So that takes away from a team. Go ahead with some of your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. This week, Alabama plays a top-ranked team. TCU and Kansas State play each other, which are 2 top-ranked teams. Michigan State, Arizona State all play top-ranked teams. There's a good chance we could have 1, 2, 3 teams at least lose this week. If Notre Dame wins, that happens, you gotta like the chances. So definitely, it's great being at number 10 again. I was a little surprised. I expect this to go down to 12, 13 area. But
now, is that what you just said? Does that include Arizona State if we beat them?
Yeah. So if Alabama plays LSU this week, I could see LSU. It's at LSU, I believe. So, always tough to win on the road in the SEC. TCU and Kansas State play, so one of them's going to lose right there. Michigan State plays Ohio State. I could see Ohio State knocking them off. Now, it is at Michigan State, but I'm going to say this: Sparty fans, your home atmosphere is not that intimidating. Um, and then Arizona State, Notre Dame. So that would be three teams that could lose, and at least one's going to lose. Yeah. So I'm just looking at that. Really, no surprises, honestly, to me in this ranking. Obviously, expected Ole Miss to drop. I was a little bit surprised at Arizona State, but I was also kind of like, all right, yeah, that's good for us. So, yeah, I'm. That's why when everyone freaked out last week, I was like, guys, just relax. You got so much time to go, and we're already seeing it after this ranking. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. So. That's all on my schedule. All I got left is pick 'em. If you want to play some pick 'em with me.
Yeah, how'd that go last week?
Well, you went. Let's see.
I need to stop picking teams because I picked a lot of games that probably were bonehead because we Notre Dame needs them to lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna kill me, and I'm gonna go away from that this week. But that was what happened to me last week if I was terrible again.
No, you weren't horrible. You were 7-3. I was 6-4. So you gained the game back on me. And just a reminder, we are playing for a case of beer. Um,
Yes.
so all right. Well, let's start
That
it off
fifth a
here.
fireball.
Oh wow! Now you're making it interesting. Before it gets recalled.
It's gonna get recalled?
Well, it got recalled in Europe for having antifreeze in it, so now the U.S. is looking more into it.
Oh my God, are you serious? I just drank Fireball last weekend during the Notre Dame game.
Yeah, you could have been you could use that on your car too, double purpose. For a college
Yikes.
student, that's called economical decisions. So,
All right.
first game, Baylor at Oklahoma, Big 12 matchup.
You pick first. I always pick first.
All right, I'm gonna take Baylor in this game.
Baylor and Oklahoma.
Yep.
I think Oklahoma's a way better team than Baylor.
Okay, so you're gonna go Oklahoma. Then we're gonna move to the Big Ten. I was struggling to find some games. Wisconsin at Purdue. I got Wisconsin.
Melvin Gordon for probably 8 touchdowns.
I'm gonna go with Wisconsin. My uncle Casey, if he ever listens, he's a big Wisconsin guy. Went to Wisconsin, so he'll be proud of me for that. Moving on to the Pac-12, Oregon at Utah.
I think this is a really interesting game. I think Utah's, like we kind of said last week, they're kind of good. I like Utah. I don't think they can keep up with Oregon, though.
All right, I'm gonna take Utah. I think I'm feeling an upset there. Utah is almost knocked off Arizona State last weekend as beat USC
Michigan.
and Michigan. They're not a bad football team.
No, I don't think they are at all, and I think that they have some athletes on the outside, and they have some speed for sure, based on what I've seen. And I think um, they've done a really good job with that program over there. And it would be, man, would that be awesome if they beat Oregon? God, that would help.
Yeah, that's another one I didn't even say when I was talking about the playoff. Oregon could lose this week too, so there's
Right.
a fourth team that has a possibility. Um, back to the Big Ten, probably the marquee matchup in the Big Ten. College game days going out to Sparty Land. Ohio State at Michigan State.
I really want to pick Ohio State because, we need Michigan State to lose. But I'm going away from that this week. Like I said, I got to go Michigan State. I think that offense is it's actually really good, and it's not something that we're used to seeing out of a Michigan State team. We're used to seeing that defense kind of carry them. I don't think Ohio State's defense is good enough. I hope they are, but I don't think from what I've seen that they can stop Connor Cook.
I agree with you, but I'm feeling upset city this week. Ohio State upsets them. Down to the SEC, a little Alabama at LSU rivalry at LSU. I'm going to go with it's hard to win on the SEC in the road, but I think Bama does it.
Yeah, and it's a big rivalry, like you said. Doesn't really matter what the records are in this game. Um, as much as I would love to pick LSU to win for the exact reason, like I just said, I can't. I think, I think LSU, man, they've showed signs of just being absolutely dog crap, and they've showed signs, even in their big wins. They really didn't look good. What would they beat? Or they lost to Mississippi State like 10-7 or something like
Or they
that, or Ole
beat they
Miss.
beat Ole Miss 10-7. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. And they still didn't. They should have scored way more points than 10. I mean, come on. Their quarterback can't. He has a noodle arm. He can't throw. So I
Hmm.
don't think. I mean, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to give Lane Kiffin some credit. He's doing some pretty solid work down there. That offense is pretty good. Mari Cooper is just too much.
Yeah. Then we go to the Big 12 marquee matchup here, top 10 matchup, number 6 in the first, number 7, Kansas State at TCU.
Oh man, TCU's defense is suspect for sure, and yeah, that's not exactly something that you would expect from a Gary Patterson team. They're usually, when they made their run in years past, it was that 5-2 defense that just threw people off, um, or whatever. They run some weird scheme. But I don't think their defense is that good. But at the same time, I don't think Kansas State can put up very many points. TCU's offense, man, they're just good. Even when they look like they're beat last weekend, they just found a way. That quarterback's good. He's got that dual threat. They made some plays when they needed to last weekend, and I think that's huge. And that's gonna, obviously that's a huge confidence builder. So I'm gonna have to go with TCU.
I'm going to pick the latter and go Kansas State. Like I said, upset week this week.
Man, you are upset city.
Upset City all day. Then we got a marquee matchup tomorrow night in the MAC. Northern Illinois comes to Muncie to play the Ball State Cardinals. I'll be there, prime time, 8 o'clock. Look for me on ESPN2. It's a big game for the Cardinals. We're on a little winning streak here. It's starting to click out in Muncie land. We got a rivalry game tomorrow night. I'm pumped up. Like I'm ready for this game. It's gonna be the first game I actually make it to, I think. So I'm of course going with my boys at Ball State,
Who are they playing? I didn't even hear you.
Northern Illinois.
Do they don't have that quarterback anymore? I don't know. Is Northern Illinois any good
They're like second in the West Division or whatever division we're in. It's the
in the
MAC.
MAC?
Yeah, they beat
Uh,
Northwestern at Northwestern.
I don't care. I'll pick I'll pick Ball State just so that I don't lose a
Hey,
game here.
hey, and you know what? I decided I couldn't find another game, so I was like, you know what? Let's be a little different here. Fair State, number 1 in Division II football right now,
Yep.
undefeated, taking on Northern Michigan at home. I'm going with our the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bulldogs. The old alma mater. Gonna roll with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm kind of mad that the year I leave, they get really good at football.
Yeah, they're
That
actually.
quarterback they got is an absolute beast.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
think.
playing him in basketball one time. I was just like, God, get out.
Yeah, intramural basketball against that dude. Oh, he's a freak. He's like what 6'4", 6'5",
He's gonna be
and can
sick.
run
He's like
like
a
a deer.
fullback, man.
Yeah.
He could be a tight end probably.
I
So
think I saw that he has like 200 more rushing yards than the next person in line behind him this year, and they had 700 yards of total offense last weekend.
yeah, they were scoring like 70 points a game at one point.
Yeah,
So
they're the real deal. They're good.
they're clicking on all cylinders up in Big Rapids. And then last game of the ballot here, Notre Dame travels to Arizona State. What do you got for score?
If it's, I can't decide if I'm leaning towards your shootout method or if I think it might be a little. I just don't think. I don't think their offense is that good, but I think they have a chance potentially to make this not a blowout, but a shootout. Um, I'm gonna go Notre Dame 42, Arizona State 28, and I think it only looks that way because we score again late on like a Folsom touchdown, trying to close the game out.
Yeah, I could see that definitely. I do think it's going to be a shootout, but I don't think it's going to be a like. I think it's just going to be a back and forth kind of thing. I'm going to go. Oh
So you're not talking like 82,
no,
81
no,
shootout.
I'm not. I don't see us ever scoring 82 points. I'm going to go 50 to 35, and I think we score one or two late, or at least one late, and that kind of pulls us away. So I got you down for 42-28. I got some 50-35. Let's wrap this show up so you can go play some Call of Duty and I go get some studying done. As always, follow us on Twitter at From the Dome 1842. You can check us out on Podbean and YouTube. Check Bray out on Down the Tunnel Radio Show. I'm trying to think anything else. Like us on Facebook. Follow our personal Twitter accounts at Augie Farwig at Bray Beatles 34.
Hey, are we on iTunes yet?
No, why not?
Maybe one of these nights you should go to the library and study that.
Well, as much as I love doing this with you, I don't think this is going to get me a job, so I'm going to study the things that are going to get me jobs someday. So,
Yeah, I guess.
yeah. So, got anything to close it out there, Bray?
No, I mean, hopefully look forever to have another big day, or all offense have another big day this weekend. If it's a shootout like Augie thinks, I think our defense is good enough to make those one or two stops when we need it. I really like our chances either way this game goes. I don't think that I don't think they're as good as us by any means. Um, I'm excited to watch the game because it's gonna be a huge telltale. This win will catapult us up the rankings at least 2 or 3 spots, I would imagine, depending how decisive it is. Just look forever to have another big day, and our offense just stays rolling.
All right, yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be fun to watch. So, as always, from me, go Irish.
Go Irish, guys. Thank you.